Hi, this is Dell Suite. This is the Star Dancer series. This is Season 1, and this is Episode 4. I hope you enjoy the series, and we'd love to hear your feedback.
Star Dancer. Bridge Bubble. Michael Watson. The alarm warning had come on, taking him completely by surprise. The low oxygen alarm had not gone off at any time in the past that he could recall. He stared, his thoughts spinning freely. He had already begun to feel the effects of oxygen deprivation before he got the emergency mask on and snugged it down. A rush of oxygen awakened his thoughts that had begun stumbling over one another. A quick check of the alarm interface showed the amount of CO2 in the air, and before the alarm came in from 3 decks down, he had the fresh air systems on, purging the carbon monoxide from the system. A few seconds of searching found the highest concentration, and he closed and sealed the bulkhead adjoining that space to cut off the flow. Baylor was barking at him over the intercom. He reached forward, plugged into the comm system, routing it to his mask, and answered. All good. At least with me. Petra is in quarters and may have been affected. What is the situation? The situation seems to be a half-baked escape attempt. There is going to be an inquiry about this one, I think. A Fed crew member diverted the carbon monoxide from the auxiliary lighting generator test mechanism. He then freed an inmate thinking we were all out. Never got the inmate anywhere out of containment. 2 of my guys nabbed them both. The bad guy tried to shoot out with some of my guys. Had an old-style taser pistol. He's done up. Inmate is being locked down in solitary. Going to have some sickness all around. I'm missing 6 crew members. Let me know about your navigator, Mike. Make sure you get her on oxygen. Purge that CO2 as fast as possible. Mike took a deep breath, turned from the console, grabbed another mask, and stood slowly. He pulled a radio unit from a clip on the console. Another thing he had never done in all his years on Star Dancer. The radio put the bridge and all conversations on a private channel, funneled away from the main communications trunk, strictly meant for emergency situations. He keyed the side button. Baylor. On the move, secure comm. He headed for Petra's quarters. The door was unlocked, and so there was no need for an override. Petra had obviously tried to fight it when she realized what was happening. She was collapsed on the floor near her rack. Mike bent and checked her pulse, strong and steady. He gathered her into his arms, settled her onto the rack, and fitted the mask over her face. He switched on the oxygen, tightened the straps on the mask, and then smoothed Petra's hair away from her forehead. Hey, he tapped her cheeks lightly with an open palm. Come on, Pet, come on. Her took one hand between the 2 of his and rubbed it briskly. He felt her hand close loosely on one of his fingers and then go limp once more. Come on, Petra, come on. He patted her face again. Wake up, Pet, come on. She mumbled, and her eyes crept open slowly. They were unfocused for a second, seeming to search around the room. They slowly settled on his face. Pet? She asked. What? Mike asked. You called me Pet. Pet, you said Pet. Petra said. She struggled to her elbows and immediately grabbed her head. Oh my God, that hurts. Mike grinned. You're back. I'm back. What the hell was that? What happened? I don't know. Some crew member on the Fed side tried to break a guy out of the cell block on 3. Shot some carbon monoxide into our fresh air. He rose, walked to a wall cabinet with a red cross stenciled on it, and opened it. He withdrew a small bottle, picked up a disposable cup, and filled it at her sink, and then returned. Take this, it will help. Petra eyed the bottle, and then twisted off the cap. She shook out 2 tablets, added 2 more, pushed the mask aside, and downed them with the water. The water itself seemed to knock the headache back instantly to where it was much easier to handle. Hundreds of years, and we still rely on aspirin, Mike said. His voice was muffled slightly by the mask. He jabbed one finger at his wrist implant. Oxygen levels coming up. A few more minutes and it will be safe to breath. Petra tried a slight smile on her face, and then stretched her mouth and rubbed the muscles in her face. Feels frozen. How can something like that happen? It isn't supposed to be able to happen, Mike said. I'm thinking that every intra-cruiser is going to be refitted after this. It seems like all that this guy had to do was dump carbon monoxide into the air system, and it poisoned the airship wide. That makes sense in a way. It is all connected, but damn, that is so stupid. I can't believe I never thought of it myself. How did you manage to not get caught by it? You and Baylor too, right? Bridge alarm, Mike laughed aloud. Ironic that it can tell you there is a leak or a contaminant in the air, yet it can't do anything about it. He shook his head. That is how. I was already feeling it by the time the alarm sounded, and I realized it was a real thing. Almost didn't make it. He realized suddenly that he was sitting on her rack. Her legs were pressed against one side of one of his own legs, and his upper body was still leaned forward over her. He moved away, realized there was nowhere to move to, and started to rise. Her hand came up, closed around his forearm. Don't, Petra said. He settled back down, feeling the warmth of her legs as they came to rest against the length of his thigh once more. Her eyes stayed on his own as he settled his weight back onto the bed. Okay, Mike agreed. I'm just a little afraid. Sick too. I can get something for the sickness, Mike said. He made to stand once more, and Petra increased the pressure on his forearm. Her grip was firm, heavy, compelling. He settled down more fully onto the bed. You called me pet. Her voice was low, husky. She smiled. He nodded, considered his words, started to speak, and the radio he had clipped to his belt interrupted him. Michael, I'm on my way up to you in the L. Levels look good down here. No serious complications with my crew. Static spit and crackled. How's your navigator, Stanovich? Mike smiled at Petra and pulled the radio from his belt. Good. She's a little sick. I think she'll be okay. How's a thing like this happen, Baylor? On my way to you on the L. I have the answers with me. The incident is over. The ship is secure. The inmate is locked down in solitary. The radio spit static, and then cleared to a low hum. I think the headache is lifting, Petra said. She shifted, and one breast pushed firmly against the inside of his forearm. Good, Mike agreed. He had sat back quickly, not wanting Petra to get the wrong idea. His face reddened, and he turned away as he stood. Petra stared at him from the rack, her eyes wide as he turned back to her. Help me, she asked. He looked at her stupidly for a moment, until she waggled the fingers of one hand. He thrust his own hand forward and helped her to her feet. Sorry, I can be an idiot sometimes, Mike told her. Her body came up against his own as she made her feet, making him aware that he was in her sleeping quarters and that the space was very small. She smiled. I should go with you. You should. Of course you should. Yes. Baylor will be up, Mike said as he turned and walked out into the narrow hallway. He caught Petra's eyes once more as he turned and saw confusion there. Great, he thought. Great. Star Dancer. Bridge Bubble. Shift 2. So you feel well? Robert Baylor asked. I have a headache still, but it is easing. My eyes actually hurt for a while, but that seems to be gone, Petra said. Baylor nodded. You got your mask on immediately. He addressed Mike. More like a few minutes into it, Mike told him. I was so unused to that alarm that I hesitated. Then I waited a little longer clearing the pipes before I got it on. I'm pretty sure they'll freeze the video. I talked to you within a minute and a half, and you were onto it then. It probably just seemed longer, Mike. Mike nodded. How did they do it so easily? Petra asked. I don't know, and I probably won't. We caught this guy, he tapped on his wrist implant, turned and showed them the image, Randy Best trying to break from the block with inmate Kenneth Rowland. Rowland is a bad guy all the way. Murder. Don't know the particulars, but murder is murder. Or as they say on the inside, he caught himself a body. They apparently thought this out, at least a little. The exhaust vent for the emergency lighting generator is not guarded, protected, anything. That is the really bad part. One of the really bad parts, one guess I should say. All he had to do was fire up the equipment for a maintenance run, disconnect the vent tubing, and put on a mask. That leads to the other really bad part. It was all over the ship, saturation-wise, in minutes. That's because this is such a small ship. Cubic feet-wise, we really don't have any working atmosphere in all parts of the ship, just the crew quarters, bridge, and recreation lounges. That's it, and that is nothing close to the volume a larger ship would have. It is the primary reason we have these ships in service still after all these years. They're so cheap to operate, he frowned. The way the air system works made it even worse. The air returns are in the floor, the fresh stuff comes from the ceiling. How does that make it worse? Mike asked. CO2 is heavier than air, Petra answered for him. Baylor nodded. That means it sinks to the floor normally, but this way it was coming right down on us from the air inlets, and the good air was getting sucked right out. Cleaning it up will make it move faster, but coming in it hit us fast and hard. And of course this guy knew it, looked it up. He tapped at the paper book that sat on the control counter. A rarity that must have been purchased off ship, Petra thought. He isn't speaking at all. I suspect he purchased the paper book so it wouldn't show up on his log data, Baylor continued. So they planned it out, I think. I believe our crew member thought he could break him out of the cell and just walk off the block. The block, however, shuts down when a cell is opened with a key, safety precaution. He used a key. Still determining where he got the key from. The block locked down, and we got down there to find the both of them trapped like rats. Bess shot it out, and my guys gave it back. Kenneth Rowland gave right up, but he won't speak. I don't actually have the right to question him anyway. That will wait until we hit 27. I can tell you that the block is remaining on lockdown until we offload the guy and the other two aboard. He shrugged and threw up his hands. Better safe than sorry. He looked from Mike to Petra. If there is anything, and I mean anything at all, he turned to Mike, but allowed his eyes to pause on Petra as well. Tell me or call me if you think of it later on. I think this has to be the longest conversation we have ever had that wasn't directly about loading and unloading. Transport, cargo. He smiled. It looked uneasy on his face. A face that didn't seem built to smile. He stood from the console and waited in silence for a second or two. No questions. Mike shook his head. No, Petra said. You think that air situation is something that can be fixed at 27? Mike asked finally. I think so. In fact, I would bet that there is going to be a rush to repair it, because once this gets out, someone else will try to take advantage of it. The criminal mind, it's just the way things work. And the next guy will know what mistakes this bunch made, he shrugged. Bunch? Petra asked. Do you think there was more than these two? Maybe. Maybe not, at least on the ship, but something like this doesn't get worked out without help. That will be for someone else to decipher. We will hear the facts long after almost everyone else has, if we ever do, Baylor said. Thanks, Bob. You did well, pretty fast too, Mike said. Baylor smiled. Thanks. It won't save us, though. His hand moved between himself and Mike, one finger extended. Our relationship is over. They'll split us up because of this. Really? Mike said. Yeah. Seen it happen. He smiled once more. Of course you were thinking about pulling the plug soon anyway, weren't you? 2 cycles, give or take. This one and one more. Baylor nodded his head. On my way too. This one should be my last. I was going to stick it out. You get comfortable, you know I rock the boat, but I know they'll be on this, and so I'll pack it in at 27. All I have to do is say yes to a security job on 27. I have enough on the clock to bank a second career right there. It is a good deal. My buddy Tom Richards has made a career there. Mike said. Met him briefly. Be sure and mention my name if you think it will help, Mike offered. Will do, Baylor said. I appreciate that. Okay, he turned towards the door and then turned back briefly. Goes without saying, we will be on alert. Anything out of the ordinary, no matter how small, I want to know, and the same will be coming at you. He nodded once and left. Silence held briefly, and then Petra broke it. I guess I better get on my report, she said. Yeah. Me too, Mike agreed. You feeling all right? Sick. Headache. A little queasy, stomach is off, funny taste in my mouth. Her eyes met his. Kind of scared too, I'll admit it. Petra, 20 years plus doing this and I have never seen anything like this. I'm sorry, and I mean that. Not your fault, don't think that. This is like the freakiest thing I have ever seen. Like, here we are in the middle of nowhere, the place you would never expect something like that, and here it is, Petra said. Mike nodded. Still my ship, I bought you here and you are my responsibility. I'm fine, I really am. She turned away, looking over her console. I'm not going to forget you called me pet either, she said softly under her breath, as she began typing her report into the console. Mike didn't hear it. He watched her for a few moments, and then turned to his own work.
Hi, this is Dell Sweet. If you like the Star Dancer series, you can find the books at Amazon, or the Kindle, or in paperback. Thank you. I'll see you next week.